Senator Marco Rubio joins us now. Good morning to you, Senator. Good to have you here today.
Good morning.
You sort of went back to yourself in a way, to being more humble, to more focused on foreign policy. Everybody said you had a very strong debate the other night, although you didn't go after Donald Trump. And now you look at the numbers, and are you wondering if that strategy was too little too late?
No, I don't look at the numbers. I think a bunch of networks are going to have to ask their pollsters for their money back. Polls this election cycle are horrifying. And I'm really, quite frankly, I think a lot of people are going to be embarrassed tonight and are going to want refunds from the money they spent on these polls, because we're going to win Florida. And we feel very optimistic about that. We're just going to keep working hard. My message has never changed. My message has always been a message of optimism. Have I taken on Donald Trump? Absolutely, because I think he's destructive to the Republican Party. I think he's destructive to the conservative movement, and I think his nomination ensures Hillary Clinton's election as the 45th president of the United States. But I ran for office before Donald Trump got in. I was running for president before he ever got in this race. I'm not running against Donald Trump. I'm running for president. But that said, yeah, we're going to address issues that he raises, of course.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Mitt Romney got into the discussion. There was a huge amount of money that went behind ads to go against Donald Trump, $25 million spent on Trump ads in Florida alone. And yet I know you don't believe the polls, and you know, you may be right. We may have to look tomorrow. The story might be, gee, all the polls were wrong. But right now, it looks like none of that money or that Mitt Romney support has changed the dynamic in what we're seeing out there tonight.
Well, again, I mean, we've been doing this interview here for a couple minutes, and you've asked me two questions. They're both about Donald Trump. So all this coverage he gets certainly helps him in terms of all the obsession the media has with him, because it helps with ratings. But it's not going to help America. You know, as the president of CBS said, you know, Donald Trump may be bad for America, but he's good for CBS. He's gotten millions of dollars worth of earned media coverage, which is fine. I think the bottom line is, what's at stake here is the country and the future of the conservative movement and the future of the Republican Party first. We have to figure out what we're going to be as a party and as a movement before we can go to the American people in a general election and ask them to choose a different direction from the one we're on right now. And I hope we're going to go in November with a conservative candidate. And I'm a conservative. I'm as conservative as anyone in this race. But I have ideas to back up that conservatism. And I think if we follow those ideas that I've put forth, we are going to have the greatest era in American history, a new American century. And I hope that's what voters will buy into. I believe that's what they'll buy into tonight here in Florida.
All right, we will see. You've said that you don't believe that the party will coalesce around him, that you just simply don't believe that that will happen. So if after today you don't win Florida, what is your plan? Will you drop out? Will you stay in? What's your plan?
Well, our plan is to continue forward in this campaign. As I said, my campaign's never been built on winning in one particular state. Obviously, you know, we're moving forward onto Utah and Arizona. We'd love to go into Utah and Arizona with the momentum of a win in Florida. But the bottom line is that there is nobody in this race right now that's on pace to get 1,237 delegates. I believe that's the ideal outcome. I believe the ideal outcome in this campaign is to have someone not named Donald Trump coalesce the party with 1,237 delegates and go on to defeat Hillary Clinton in November. No one right now is on pace to do that, not even Donald Trump. And if he's not, of course, he's not going to be able to unite the party. In fact, I think he'll bitterly divide it. Ultimately, our goal here is not just to win, but to prevent a Hillary Clinton presidency, which would be deeply damaging for this country.
Well, you just said you've never built your campaign on any one state, but you've been saying all week in appearances in Florida that it all comes down to Florida. You've said that over and over again.
Yeah, well,
is
because it's important. Because Florida has 99 delegates, which is going to be huge. I mean, 99 delegates is a lot of delegates. So it won't alter whether we stay in the race or not, but it most certainly would be incredibly helpful, and for us, a huge boost to our campaign. So sure. It comes down to Florida tonight because it is the single largest award of delegates that we've ever had up to this point. So it's an enormous prize, and one we want to win, of course.
All right. You know, I mean, when you look at the numbers, a lot of people have said, you've heard this, that it's just mathematically impossible to get to 1237 for any of the other three people who are in right now. Donald Trump's a long way from it as well, as you point out, rightly so. So when I say what is the plan, you know, we're going to talk to Ryan Priebus a little bit later. You know, do you see this coming to a contested convention? Will you hang in there? Will you hold on to your own delegates no matter what, so that you have some chips that you can play in Cleveland this summer? And is that the intention?
Yeah, but that's not our plan. No, I mean, look, that's not the ideal outcome, okay? I think if you went into a convention where there is no clear nominee, it would be very good, must-watch TV, but I think it would be tough for the party to win under that scenario, simply because, you know, there's going to be followers of the other candidates that are going to feel like there was a backroom deal and they got left out. That's not ideal.
Right.
The ideal way to win the nomination is for someone to get the majority and then everyone rally around them. But we are living in a very unusual election cycle where the front runner of this party is neither a conservative nor a unifier, and so it's very difficult to imagine that happening at this point. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it goes in a different direction here, and we still have time. About half the delegates are still left to be awarded, so we'll see what happens.
You know, I want to ask you one question about ISIS, because you have gotten points all along for speaking so knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. It's been an area of focus for you. Donald Trump has said recently that 27% of Muslims are radical, that they're radicalized Muslims. Do you believe that? And what do you think about his efforts to understand that part of the world and what's going on?
I don't think he understands it. But again, I mean, this, you know, ISIS has nothing to do with Donald Trump or what he says. There's the reality. And the reality of the world is that we have a radical jihadist problem on this planet that needs to be defeated. ISIS today is the predominant radical jihadist group in the world. They have affiliates in over a dozen countries, and they need to be defeated. What percentage of Muslims in the world are members of a radical jihadist movement? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of them, and they have a lot of weapons, and they have a lot of capability, and they have to be defeated. Even if it's 1% or 2%, you're talking about millions of people. And so we need to address this threat in a serious way. If it doesn't, it'll continue to grow, and eventually it'll continue to reach us here in the homeland.
All right, Senator Rubio, I know you hope to have a good night tonight and to prove the polls wrong. And we thank you very much for being here today. We'll see you soon. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thanks.